Hi everyone, welcome to Impact Academy. I'm Yashasvi Chintata. So today let us start with the model paper of economy. So in the coming both group one and group two we have economy, but of course group one we have to look at it from a mains point of view. So for group two economy, so let us try to look at some of the standard questions. Okay. So this model paper, I think it contains 100 questions. So let's try to finish a couple of model papers. Okay. So consider the following statements regarding near money. Consider the following statements regarding near money. So it refers to non-cash assets that can be easily converted to cash. The nearness of near money varies depending on the actual time frame required for cash conversion. The certificates of deposits are an example of near money. So, so near money is sometimes referred to as quasi money or cash equivalent. Okay. It's a financial economic term describing non-cash assets that are highly liquid and easily converted to cash. Okay, so they are not cash. But for example, if you have a FD, okay, fixed deposit, you cannot immediately convert into cash, right? So that is not a highly liquid non-cash asset. Okay, for example, you have a check. Okay, that is also not highly liquid because you have a check in your hand. You have to go deposit in the bank. Only then you will get money. So okay, so near money is quasi money or cash equivalent, something similar to cash but is not cash. Okay, and easily. Hence, so what is saying near money refers to non-cash assets that can be easily converted to cash. So which is true. Near money is a term that analysts use to understand and quantify the liquidity and nearness of liquidity for financial assets. Okay, understanding near money and the nearness of near money is essential in corporate financial statements. Near money can be important in all types of wealth management. Okay, central banks, economists utilize the concept of near money in determining the different levels of money supplies. Okay, M1, M2, M3, all these things we've seen in economic classes, right? So nearness of near money will vary depending on the actual time frame for cash conversion. Okay, so if you have a fixed deposit, maybe you have a fixed term of 1 year. Okay, that is a very huge time frame. So it is very far from near money. The nearness of near money varies depending on the actual time frame required for cash conversion. Okay. The other factors affecting near money may include transactional fees, penalties, etc. So if there are any too much of transactional fees, for example, you have some bond paper which is of say 1 lakh rupees. So if you want to sell that bond paper and you have a transaction fee of 100 rupees, that is fine. But if you have a transaction fee of 1,000 rupees or say transaction fee itself is 10,000, then you're not having 1 lakh, right? You're having only 90,000. So that is not a good thing. That is not what do you say? It's not a liquid cash. Okay. So examples of near money include savings accounts because in savings accounts, suppose you have 10,000 rupees. Whenever you want, you can just remove the money. Fine. Certificate of deposit. Certificate of deposit is when you deposit money, you get a certificate. So that is also near money. Foreign currencies, money market accounts, marketable securities, and treasury bills. Fine. So near money is non-cash assets that can be easily converted to cash. Nearness of near money varies depending on the actual time frame required for cash conversion. Okay, so too much time, it's not near money. If it is very less time, then it is near money. Certificate of deposits are an example of near money. So all three are correct. Okay, so let us go to the second question. How many? Okay, so how many of the following economic activities are not included in the estimation of GDP of a country? So let us see. Transfer payments, unpaid work, stock purchases, construction of a room in existing building. So, so GDP measures the monetary value of final goods and services. Fine. So GDP, just a minute. Fine. So GDP measures the monetary value of final goods and services. Okay, what is GDP? Value of goods and services. And GDP and GNP, you have to see, observe. See, GDP is about the geography, the location. So all the value of goods and services produced within the boundary of India. So it can be by foreign company. For example, we have a Kia plant, okay, which is a foreign company. But even then, it is considered part of GDP. Everything, every good and service produced within the boundary of India is GDP. On the other hand, GNP, which is uh, gross national product, right? GNP. So GNP is only for Indian citizens. Okay, so that is the major difference. If it is GDP, it is for all goods and services that have been produced within the country. Those that are bought by the final user, produced in a country in a given period of time. Okay, it can be quarter or year. Usually, we see, I mean, GDP growths and everything, we calculate on a yearly basis. It counts all the output generated within the borders of a country. So it can be foreign nationals also, because such questions are being asked. Okay, what is GDP? What is GNP? The difference. So if it is GNP, then you cannot consider goods and services produced by foreign entities. Okay, it is only by Indian citizens. But GDP is anything that is generated within the border of a country. What is not included in GDP? A product will be counted in GDP only one time in its life. So current transactions involving assets and property produced in the previous period are not counted in the current GDP. Okay, so in the last year financial statements, if for example there is a stock of 100 cars, okay, we have sold 50 cars and 50 cars are remaining. So those 50 cars you will sell this year, but that will not be counted as part of GDP, because in the last year GDP you have already counted 100 cars. Okay, if a laptop produced in the year 2000 is resold in 2006, then GDP of 2006 will not include resale value of the laptop, because it is just transfer of ownership. So understand this. GDP means we are talking about the one time only, one time goods and services. So other things not included in GDP are government social security, welfare payments. Okay, all these social security payments, welfare payments, current exchange in stocks and bonds, changes in the values of financial assets. Okay, all these things are not included. Not all productive activity is included in GDP. For example, unpaid work such as that performed in the home or by volunteers, black market activities are not included in the GDP. Construction of a room in an existing building is included in the GDP, as it is a part of gross investment. Okay, so now let's go back to the question. How many of the following economic activities are not included in the estimation of a GDP of how many are not included? So, Uh, transfer payments, unpaid work is not included. Okay, for sure. Stock purchases, construction of a room in an existing building is included, right? Exist if you're even if it's the existing building, you're constructing a new room. That means you're creating a new product. So this is there. Stock purchases are not there. Unpaid work is not there. Transfer payments are also not there. Okay, that's what we have seen, right? Stocks and all current exchanges is there. Transfer payments is not there. Welfare payments, social security, all this is not there. Unpaid work, black market is not there. So transfer payments, unpaid work, stock purchases are not part of GDP. Okay, but construction of a room is. So how many are not included? Three. So option C. Okay, two C is the answer. C is the answer. Fine. So let us go to the third question. So consider the following statements. So consider the following statements. Statement one: in comparison to the demand pull inflation, cost push inflation is less responsive to monetary policy measures. And cost push inflation is driven by supply side factors, and monetary policy may have limited effectiveness in addressing these factors. Fine. So what is okay? So what is cost push? Okay, all this is so cost push inflation is characterized by an increase in the general price level due to the rising production costs, often stemming from factors such as increased wages, higher raw material prices, or external supply shocks. That is cost push. So you are pushing the cost because the wages have increased. For example, Previously, you are paying labor 500 rupees. Now, if their wages have increased to 600 rupees. Okay, previous, so the product you are selling at 10 rupees, now you'll have to make it 12 rupees because raw material prices are increasing. Okay, external supply shocks. So, for example, you want to make computers, laptops, so you need semiconductors from China, Taiwan, etc. So, suddenly if they stop exporting, then obviously your production will reduce. That is external supply. So, because of all these reasons, there is an increase in the price level. So, that which used to cost 100 rupees now is crossing 150. So that increase due to these factors is called cost push. So the cost is being pushed. Monetary policy primarily operates on the demand side of the economy. Okay, so monetary policy primarily operates on the demand, not the supply side. So influencing factors like interest rates and money supply to manage overall spending. Okay, so the monetary policy is influencing interest rates, money supply, etc. However, it may have limited effectiveness in addressing supply side factors. So, whatever monetary policy the government comes, it operates only on the demand side, not on the supply side. That drives the cost push inflation. So, statement one is correct. Okay. Next, when production costs rise, businesses may pass on this cost to customer. Okay, so previously, for example, raw material of iron ore is say 100 rupees, then the finished product steel will be say 200 rupees. If the raw material becomes 150, then the final product will become 250. So businesses usually pass on the increased cost to customers in the form of higher prices for goods and services. So monetary policy measures such as adjusting interest rates might not directly elevate the supply side pressures. Okay, so changing the interest rate will not affect the raw material cost, right? Causing cost push inflation. Okay, so both statement one and statement two are correct, and statement two is the correct explanation for one. For instance, increasing interest rates may help control demand pull inflation. Okay, by reducing overall spending. For example, if you increase the interest rate, it will control the money. For example, for example, if there is a businessman, okay, he wants to open a new factory. If the interest rate is around 10% for a loan, he will take the. If you increase the interest rate to 20%, so you will think, okay, this is not the right time to expand my business. So spending will reduce. Okay, so if the interest rate is increased, the spending is reduced. Try to understand that, but it will not directly address. Okay, so this monetary policy of adjusting interest rate will have no effect on the raw material. Okay, so the raw material, if it increases, it is due to other factors. So in comparison to demand pull inflation, cost push inflation is less responsive to monetary policy measures, which is true, right? So whatever monetary policy measures you're taking, that will not come from the cost push. Cost push is we're talking about the supply, raw material, okay, increase in wages of labor. So all these things are not in your hands. So by monetary policy means these changing repo rate, okay, reverse repo rate and all these things, bank rate, etc. So when you change these things, that will help in demand pull inflation, because if you increase the interest rate, then the demand will reduce. Okay, if you increase the demand interest rate, obviously more and more people will stop taking loans, okay, unnecessarily. Why to spend money? Okay, if the house, you are planning to take a house, and if the interest rate is increased to say 12%, okay, you will wait till it comes to 10%. So demand pull inflation, so the demand side, okay, demand side can be what you say, influenced by monetary policy measures like repo rate, increasing repo rate, okay, reducing repo rate, SDRs and all those things, reverse repo rate, bank rate, and all those things. But cost push inflation, cost push means the cost of the product, where it is coming from, raw material, labor charges, okay, current charges, and all those things. Those things are not at all related to repo rate and etc. etc. So cost push inflation is less responsive to monetary policy measures. Okay, why? Because cost push inflation is driven by supply side factors, not monetary policy. And supply side, okay, supply of the raw material, etc. So monetary policy may have limited effectiveness in addressing these factors. So both one and two are correct, and two is the correct explanation for statement one. Answer A. Okay, three, answer A. So let us look at the fourth question. Okay, so consider the following Okay. Corporation tax, income tax, union excise duties, customs. So arrange the contribution of the above taxes in decreasing order for the year 2021-2022. So it won't change much whether it is 21, 22 or 22, 23. These are very standard items. Okay. So it won't change much. So the pattern will be more or less same. So now let us see. Okay. So in 21-22, corporation tax is around 71,000. Okay. Now it is around in 23-24, it is around 92,000. Okay. Now sorry. How much is this? Okay. 9,22,000. Okay. This is 7,12,000. Okay. Next, you have this is corporation tax is high, right? Corporation tax is high, followed by income tax and customs and excise. So see, customs and excise. Excise is on liquor. Okay, I'm sure everyone knows this, but excise tax, excise duty, all these things are related to liquor, cigarettes, tobacco, etc. All those things. Uh, okay, intoxicating drinks, alcohol. Customs is when it comes through the airports or ports, okay, through ship or some from abroad. Okay, when it comes from abroad, that is custom duty, and that comes from liquor is excise. So liquor is more than customs. Okay, this is 3,94,000. This is 1,99,000. But always corporation tax is very high. Okay, that is why you should always respect the top businessman because it is the tax which is paid by these big business houses that literally runs the country. Okay, so that is where everything comes from. That amount they pay is very huge, almost 7,12,000 crores. This is in crores. So always respect the big corporates. Income tax is also pretty huge. Okay, all salaried people, everyone they pay income tax. Okay, business people, everyone. So that is also almost very near 6,96, and now it has leads to what is this? Even here the trend is same. Okay, highest among this is this one, corporation tax. Okay, then followed by income tax, which is almost very near. This is 23, 24, 9,22,000. 9,22,000 crores is corporation tax. 9 lakh crores is income tax, and excise duty is 3,39,000, and this is 2,33,000. Okay, so try to remember the figures also if you can. And this is what is this? Goods and service tax. Goods and service tax is almost 9,56,000. Okay, that is the highest. Okay, so if GST is also there, then you have to put GST number one, right? Anyway, so within this we have seen. Now what is the question? Arrange in the decreasing order. So what is the highest? Always corporation tax is highest. Okay, one followed by income tax, and we've said income from liquor is high. So four and followed by income from customs. Customs where is sorry where is excise three. So three. Okay, and followed by customs. So 4C. Okay, 4C is the option. Fine. Also try to remember corporation tax. Corporation tax is around 92, 9 lakh 22. Okay, and income tax is 9 lakhs, and excise liquor. Okay, liquor is 3 lakh 39, and abroad luxury items 2 lakh 33. Okay, something like that. And GST is 9 lakh 56. Fine, fine. So corporation tax is highest. Remember that. So with reference to the periodic labor force survey. Okay, periodic labor force survey is very important. Okay, with reference to the periodic labor force reports, consider the following statements regarding the last 5 years trends of employment parameters as per the usual status. Okay, last 5 years trends as per the periodic labor force survey. So, in order to understand these trends, first let us see. Okay, what is the PL is saying. So, National Sample Survey Office launched the Periodic Labor Force Survey (PLFS) in April 2017. Fine, NSSO PLFS April 2017. Objective of PLFS is primarily twofold. To estimate the key employment and unemployment indicators, that is worker population ratio, labor force participation rate. Okay, worker population also is trying to see uh, this. Okay, labor force participation rate, unemployment rate. Okay, in the short time interval of 3 months for the urban areas only in the current weekly status. Okay, so in urban areas only means it comes in the current weekly status. Next, to estimate employment and unemployment in both usual status and current weekly status in both rural and urban. So, if you are talking about both rural and urban, then it is usual status. Okay, but only current weekly status is for urban. Activity status, usual status. Activity status of a person is determined on the basis of the activities pursued by the person during the specified reference period. When the activity status is determined on the basis of reference period of last 365 days, okay, it is known as the usual activity. Okay, so activity status, current weekly status. The activity status determined on the basis of a reference period of last 7 days preceding the date of survey is known as current weekly status. So, last 1 year, if you take, it is activity status of the usual status. Okay, and last 7 days, it is the current weekly status. And current weekly status is mostly to urban areas, and usual status is both urban and rural areas. So, labor force participation rate is defined as the percentage of persons in the labor force that is working or seeking or available for work. Okay, so working means those who are working or seeking or available for work. So who is willing to work, not yet working but willing to work, even they are part of the labor force participation rate. So if a statement which says that labor force participation rate only shows those who are working, it will make sense. Okay, you are saying it is labor force participation, so they are probably working. But even those who are seeking or available for work are part of the labor force participation rate. Now, labor force participation rate, if you look at it, what is it saying? In 2022-23, it is 57.9. Okay. And in 2017-18 is 49. So, from 49, it has slowly come to 57.9. And this is urban, rural plus urban. Okay. In rural areas, it is 76% for male, 24 for female. In urban areas, okay, total is 50, but 74 for male. So, same more or less. Actually, it is reduced. In rural area, people are working, women are working more, okay, because they are involved in this agriculture and all. In urban areas, women are working less. Okay, rural plus urban, again, it is more or less similar. So, around 75% of the men are working. So, so we also come out of this 75%, okay, because we are willing to work, okay, seeking to work. So the other 25% may be either children or old people or who are getting too much benefits from the government, okay, so they don't want to work anymore. So all these things, female, okay, most of them may be doing household activities, etc. So statement one is correct. Now, if you look at worker population ratio is defined as the percentage of employed persons. Okay, so previously labor force means both working and seeking to work, but now worker population means only those who are actually working. So, so those who are actually working, that is also 56, male 76, 35. Okay, 15 years and above. Okay, try to understand, keep this in mind. Okay, 15 years and above. So unemployment rate is defined as the percentage of people unemployed among the persons in the laboral force. So among the people who are working and looking to work, if you remove those who are working and those who are seeking work, they are as unemployed. So unemployed is what is this? Only 3.2. Okay, this is out of 100 or 1000. I'm not sure. It's not given anywhere. Anyway, so only 3.2. So it was 6. It came down to 3.2. Okay. This is percentage, I think, because percentage of persons, okay, unemployed among the, so in the labor force, how much percentage are unemployed within the labor force, not the total population. Okay, 3.2%. Fine. So let us go back to the question. So with regard to periodic labor force survey, consider the following statements regarding the last 5 year trends of employment parameters as per the usual status. So in the last 5 years, labor force participation rate has increased Fine, we have seen, right? LF PR has increased. Okay, so how much it is increased? Okay, so here labor force participation rate has increased from 49 to 57. Try to just keep that in mind. Okay, because in group 2 level they can ask for question. I mean statistics also. So 49 to 57, it has increased, and worker population ratio has increased from 46 to 56. Okay, 46 to 56, almost 10 percentage. And this has reduced. Okay, unemployment rate has reduced from 6 to 3.2. Now let us see what is saying. So in the last 5 years, labor force participation rate has increased, which is true. 5 years worker population ratio has increased, which is true. 46 to 56, and this is something 49 to 58 something. The last 5 years unemployment rate has declined. So all the three are correct. So five answer is C. Okay. So consider the following statements regarding India's GDP on purchasing power parity. So, so purchasing power parity is, for example, if we are suppose we, with 100 rupees, we can buy say one bowl of rice and one curry, okay, etc. Basically, one full meal, okay, we can buy for 100 rupees. And if you go to say Sri Lanka, there for the same meal you have to spend 300 rupees. Okay, that means there 300 rupees is equal to our 100 rupees, right? So that is what purchasing power of parity measures. Okay, the equality is, it is not saying, for example, here if I get in the US, if you get $2,000, okay, and here if I get 2,000 rupees, it is not same, right? So that is you cannot say just by the number. You have to take into account not just dollar rupee conversion, also what that can buy. Okay, that is purchasing power parity. So purchasing power parity, okay, GDP in purchasing power parity means gross domestic product based on the purchasing power parity. So GDP comparisons using PPP are regularly arguably more useful than using nominal GDP, which is true, right? So India, you can say India has GDP of say 2 trillion something, US has 25 trillion, suppose. Okay, but we're talking in terms of dollars. So you have to look at in the US, for example, you are earning $5,000. Okay, what you can do with that $5,000? You cannot do much. But if you come and that $5,000 you convert into rupees, here in India, maybe you can buy a house, you can buy a piece of land, etc., etc. Okay, so that is purchasing power parity, trying to bring a certain equality. So $5,000 is not exactly equal to 5,000 rupees, or for that matter, say $1 is 80 rupees. Okay, so even then, saying that $1 is equal to 80 rupees is also not correct, because here for 80 rupees you will get a full meal, but for $1 will you get a full meal? No. So for example, if you say you will get a full meal for $4, here you are getting a full meal for 100 rupees. That means your 100 rupees is equal to $4. That is purchasing power parity, bringing a certain equality, not just the numerical numbers. Okay. So GDP based on PPP is better than nominal GDP. So rather than taking the face value, it is better to take the purchasing, because it takes into account cost of local goods, services, and inflation rates, everything, rather than using international market exchanges. So it's not saying $1 is equal to 80 rupees. No. Purchasing power, if you see, $4 is equal to 80 rupees, approximately. I'm saying what you can buy with that, what you can buy with this. So it takes into consideration the cost of local goods, services, inflation rates, etc. So India has already been the third largest economy by purchasing power since 2008. So if you look at the purchasing power, we are already the third largest economy. So in 2022, top five countries by PPP are China, US, India, Japan, Russia. Okay, China, US, India, Japan, Russia. So measuring GDP by purchasing power parity adjusts for differences in cost of living across countries. Okay, so this is what I'm saying. So cost of living is considered in purchasing power parity, which is very important actually. Since goods and services tend to be relatively cheaper in India, Indians enjoy higher purchasing power. So if you have 100 rupees in your hand, and if you take foreign exchange currency rate, other person having $1 in his hand, it doesn't matter. You have more power. With that 100 rupees, you can buy more, and this allows you to leapfrog other nations on this metric. Okay, so let us see what the question is. So India is the second largest economy by purchasing power. No, it is the third largest economy. So if you are taking on based on purchasing power parity GDP, India is third largest economy. So this is wrong. Indians enjoy higher purchasing power as goods and services tend to be relatively costlier in India. So Indians enjoy higher purchasing power is correct, but not because they are costly, because they are less costly. Okay, because they are less expensive. Okay, for less amount of money you can get more. So Indians enjoy higher purchasing power. So neither one, not two. So in the context of the market stabilization scheme, consider the following statements. Okay, they are included as a part of the country's internal central government debt. Okay, so let us look at the explanation and then let's try to solve the question. That will save time. So the market stabilization scheme was devised since continuous resort to sterilization by the RBI depleted its limited stock of government securities and impaired the scope for similar interventions in the future. Okay, so, because continuously what RBI is doing, it is depleting its limited stock of government securities. Okay, so this market stabilization scheme has come. So, what is this scheme? Government of India borrows from RBI. Okay, in addition to its normal borrowing, and issues treasury bills, dated securities that are utilized for absorbing excess liquidity from the market. So, there is too much money in the market. What the government is doing? It is issuing treasury bill. Okay, so what treasury bills are dated securities. So what a common person will say, for example, you have 1 lakh in your hand. So if you have 1 lakh rupees, you will say, okay, I will buy some jewelry. I'll buy some what you say. I'll buy a small bike or something, or I'll go to a small vacation, etc. But you want to invest, so government comes up with this treasury bill or dated securities. Say you buy this treasury bill at 5,000 rupees, and dated securities it will give it a face value. Suppose in future by the next year December you can cash this out at 10,000 rupees, but now you pay 8,000. Okay, so you pay 8,000 and you get 10,000 after 1 year. So basically it's a form of investment. So this 1 lakh, what people will do, they'll say, okay, rather than spending 1 lakh rupees on luxuries, let us invest it. So they will buy the treasury bills. Okay, so for 80,000 rupees you buy these treasury bills. Now you have only 20,000 in your pocket. So now the excess liquidity is absorbed from you. So what, with 20,000 rupees you are not going to spend too much. Okay, you are not going to buy a bike, you are not going to buy jewelry. So once more people start doing this, the prices of the jewelry, bike, etc. come down. Okay, so when the prices come down, inflation is controlled. So by absorbing the excess liquidity from the market, this market stabilization scheme, okay, constitutes arrangement aiding liquidity absorption. Though excess liquidity is being absorbed and keeping with the overall monetary policy of the RBI. So it looks like the liquidity adjustment facility and alongside tools like liquidity adjustment facility and open market operations. So these are standard tools of RBI for controlling liquidity in the market. Okay. So the securities issued under MSS termed as market stabilization scheme, securities bonds are issued by way of auctions. Okay, by RBI and are done according to a specified ceiling mutually agreed by the government of India and RBI. So they possess all the attributes of existing treasury bills, dated securities. They are included as a part of country's internal central government debt also, because it is something, it's part of the central government's debt. Okay, the amount raised under the MSS scheme does not get credited to the government account, but it is maintained in a separate account. Okay, it is not going directly to the government, it is a separate account. Okay, so whenever the time is up, the government will have to pay it back. So So it is not an asset for the government, right? It is a debt because it is like a debt only because it has to give it back. Okay, whatever money it has taken from the public, it has to give it back. So this is a part of a central government debt. Okay, and it is not created to the government. It is used for redemption, buyback of treasury bills, and dated securities issued under the scheme. Okay, so it is maintained in a separate cash account with the RBI, and it is used for redemption or buyback of treasury dated bills. Okay, so it is taking money from the public, putting it somewhere. Okay, and when it is time to give it back, it is giving it back from the same. However, following the global financial crisis of 2008, that necessitated fiscal stimulus. So here in the 2008, because of the global financial crisis, people are not having money. So government has to pump more money into the market. So it gave many fiscal stimulus measures. Okay. So there has been an amendment to the original MOU, and February 2009 allowed the government to convert a portion of the MSS funds into normal government borrowing for financing its stimulus expenditure requirements. Okay, so in 2009, part of the MMS funds have been taken by the government for financing the stimulus expenditure. Stimulus expenditure is being basically giving loans to various industries, etc. See, similar thing we have seen during COVID also, right? So basically, when there is a crisis, financial crisis in the market, government will pump more funds. So in the context of the market stabilization scheme, they are included as part of the country's internal central government debt, which is correct. The amount raised under MSS does not get credited to the government account. So both 1 and 2 are correct, right? So 7C. Okay. So 7C is the option. So it is true. So let us look at the eighth question. So with reference to the circular flow of income, consider the following. So what is circular flow of income? So circular flow of income refers to the continuous circular movement of goods and services between major sectors. Example, households, firms, government sector, okay, external sector, which is also rest of the world. So it's circular nature because it moves in a circle coming back to the starting point. So whenever national output is produced, it generates the equivalent amount of claims of that output in the form of national income. Okay, so whenever for example, you are producing goods of say you are producing 10 cars, each 1 lakh. Okay, that means 10 lakh worth of output you are producing. That means you're also getting income of 10 lakhs, right? So if there is output, similar income is also there. That because that 10 lakhs will come in the form of the car will go and money will come. Okay. Circular flow of income refers to the flow of money, income, or flow of goods and services across various sectors of an economy. So this flow of money or goods is called circular income, circular flow. Okay, types of circular flows. There are two types of circular flow: real flow, product flow, and income flow or money flow. So, real flow or product flow is real flow refers to the flow of goods and services. These are called real flows because they consist of actual goods and services. Okay. Income flow or money flow in modern economies, goods and services and factor services are valued is terms of money. Okay. Households receive rent for land, wages for labor, interest for capital, etc., etc., and make payment for goods and services supplied by firms. So, this flow of money between firms and households is called money flow. Okay, so when there is actual movement of goods and services, it is called real flow. When, for example, this rent, okay, in this case of rent or wages, there is no product or anything, right? Just you are staying in the house and giving money. But in this case, for example, goods and services, you are selling a car, you are actually transferring a car. That is real flow or product flow. This is income flow or money flow. So, flow of with reference to circular flow of income, consider how many of are considered as real flow of goods and services. Yes, and this payment of rent and payment of wages is not real flow; it is money flow. So only one. 8A is the answer. 8A is the answer. So consider the following statements regarding the National Startup Advisory Council. Okay, so let us see what is national. The center has reconstituted the National Startup Advisory Council. So Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, DPIIT. Okay, very important. DPIIT, Ministry of Commerce and Industry had constituted the National Startup Advisory Council in 2020. So very recently, to advise the government on measures needed to build a strong ecosystem for nurturing innovation and startups in the country. Okay, common sense. Okay, startup advisory. So nurturing and innovating startups to drive sustainable economic growth, generate large scale employment. All this is fine. The center nominates non-official members on the council representing various stakeholders such as founders of successful startups like Swiggy, Zomato, etc. Okay, they will be non-official members, and veterans who have grown up in scaled companies like Infosys, Narayan Murthy. Okay, so it will be a mix of these new young guys who are successful and the veterans who have grown in scaled companies, persons capable of representing the interest of investors. Okay, and representative of associations, this ASSOCHAM, NASSCOM, etc. Okay, so the council was headed by the Union Minister of Commerce and Industry. So let us see what it is about. It was constituted by the Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, which is true. Okay, National Startup Advisory Council advises the government on measures needed to build a strong ecosystem for nurturing innovation and startups in the country. Advises the government. Okay, what is doing? Where is this? Okay, National Startup Advisory Council 2020 to advise the government on measures needed to build a strong ecosystem for nurturing innovation and startups in the country. So this is also correct, right? Okay. Consider the following statements regarding national startup. It was constituted by the Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade. So what is the answer? C. All three. Okay, fine. So it's correct. This is also correct. Okay. Answer is all three. So all three are correct. And it advises the government on measures needed to build strong ecosystem for nurturing. The council is headed by the Union Minister of Commerce and Ministry. Though all these people are there, headed by Union Minister of Commerce and Ministry. And who else will be there? These new guys and veterans. Okay, veterans will be there. New successful startup founders will be there, and people from industry will be there. Associations, all these things. Everybody will be there. So, National Startup Advisory Council. It is in 2020. Try to remember that. So consider the following statements regarding the regulation of OTT platforms. So recently, Union Minister for Communications and IT clarified that the OTT platform will not be regulated under the Telecommunications Act. Okay, so Telecommunications Act 2023 will not be regulating this. Telecommunications Act 2023 amends and consolidates laws relating to development, expansion, and operation of telecommunication services and networks. So it deals with telecommunications and networks. So the minister also clarified that the act does not empower either government or service providers to break the encryption of messages exchanged via OTT. So you cannot look at WhatsApp messages, personal messages, etc. Okay, OTT platforms are regulated by Information Technology Rules 2021. So this is very important. Okay, so all telecommunication services and networks. So Airtel, okay, all these things are governed by Telecommunications Act 2023. But it does not allow for any encryption of messages. Okay, breaking the encryption of messages is not allowed, and OTT platforms will come under Information Technology Intermediary Guidelines in Digital Media Ethics Code Rules 2021, very recent. Okay, and this is under Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. So let us look at the OTT platforms are regulated under Telecommunication Act 2023. No, it is wrong. Okay, telecommunications is only for telecommunication networks and services like Airtel, Vodafone, Jio, all these things. OTT platforms come under Information Rules, Intermediate Guidelines, and Digital Media Ethics Code Rules 2021. The Telecommunications Act 2023 does not empower the government to break the inscription, which is true. Okay, no one can break the inscription and look at this personal, all these things. Okay, so two is correct, two only. Fine. So let us stop for today and continue in the next class.